Hello, Meoni here, and today I thought I'd take a quick look at the new North American patch 4.1 website that went live last night. So this page is called The Legend Returns Final Fantasy XIV patch 4.1. Now today's video will have a lot of spoilers for previous content and more to come in 4.1, so you are warned. If you want to turn around now and not be spoiled of anything, then now is your chance. So I've warned you, so let's have a look first. So this first thing that strikes me is that there's Ramza and Delita next to the Prima Vista theatre ship in the background here. Ramza and Delita from Final Fantasy Tactics, if you remember. So this is obviously about the Alliance raid, and sure enough we're going to see info about that as we scroll down. So as we scroll down here, there's a little header of things that they're going to put onto this website, and also stuff that's already here, including main scenario, return to Ivalice raid, a new dungeon, housing, the Minstrel's Ballad Shinryu's Domain. They're not even going to sugar the pill there, they're just going to tell you it's flat out Shinryu Extreme. The Unending Coil of Bahamut Ultimate, which is the new Super Savage as everyone was calling it. Rival Wings, which is a new large-scale PvP that we talked about in a previous video. The Adventurer Squadrons, which allows them to go on new missions and stuff. Side story quests, Beast Tribe quests, and additional updates. Now none of that stuff there in the unlit, unboldened writing is on the website yet, but it will be in the next couple of weeks. Without further ado, look at the first scene. We have a picture here of Lise standing in Alamigo, and she's not looking too happy. So I'll read what it says. The liberation of Alamigo signals an end to an era of tyranny. Here, on the cusp of a new age of freedom, her people must decide how they will greet their future and reconcile with their past. What path lies ahead for Lise and her efforts to rebuild the nation? What choices plague Fordola from within her prison cell? And to where will Raban return, now that the dream for his homeland has at last become a reality? So some good points there. So we've got a picture, like I say, of Lise inside Alamigo. Next picture we have a picture of Fordola in her prison cell, looking fairly sad, to be honest. And the third image on this slide is actually of Raban, Lise, that appears to be fighting the Ananta, or fighting somebody with the Ananta. They don't appear to be facing each other, so I don't think they're fighting each other. I think it's a common enemy attacking from all sides, and it's meant to make you think that perhaps that the Ananta have turned. I don't know. We'll see. And the final image is Raban and Pippin. Pippin looking at his father as Raban closes his eyes and basically embraces the fact that his homeland is liberated. I don't think he's really coming to terms with it in the main storyline, and it's sure to set some things in motion for a huge subplot in the main story with Raban sort of getting his shit together. Next up we have the big segment that everyone's going to be interested in. We'll look at the pictures in a second. They're obviously pretty damn striking. I'll read the text. This morning, residents of Kagani woke to find above their city an airship unlike any ever seen. Yet while of Garlean design, the vessel distinctly lacked the bleak outfitting common in the Empire's war machina. No, this was the Prima Vista, private stage of the majestic Imperial Theatre Company. A troupe having won acclaim across Garlemald for their timeless work, the Zodiac Brave story, which begets the question, why are they here? The answer to that question and more lies in the self-same legend of which they sing, the return of Ivalice. So this is the Prima Vista. This is a lot like Final Fantasy IX's theatre company. I presume there was one in Tactics. I'm not really sure. I didn't play Tactics, so that's my problem. I've only played Final Fantasy XII in that era. For all intents and purposes, that looks a little bit like Rabanasta. There's oases, a desert, and a city. And the next slide, sure enough, shows full frontal picture. That really does look a spitting image of Rabanasta to me. I could be wrong, but that definitely looks like Westgate or something like that. The next slide, however, confirms more and more my sort of belief that this might be underneath Rabanasta itself. This looks very similar to the Garam Scythe waterway, if you remember that zone. The grating on the floor, the cogs, and sort of like the water fountains and stuff. That makes me believe that this is either the Garam Scythe waterway or there are other cities in Ivalice that actually use the same kind of irrigation system. But either way, it's very exciting, and I can't wait to get a hold of this. I want to envelop myself in that storyline like I imagine a lot of you do as well. Now, the next section of this website is talking about the dungeon. Now, we did originally get some information from Gamescom about this, that the dungeon would be called the Drowned City of Scala. Now, I theorized from this one image that's up now. This was the original teaser image for the Drowned City, and I theorized that this might be underneath Loch Seld in the Lochs area, and it turns out I was completely correct. So let's read the text. Long ago, in the dawn of the 5th astral era, the modest nation of Scala was founded in the land of Girabania. Over the span of several centuries, its people constructed a grand city of stone at the bottom of a steep-walled ravine. But even this natural defense could not protect Scala from destruction during a terrible age of war, when the great flood of the 6th umbral calamity later swept across the realm. The hollow ruins of the city were lost to sight, its remnants submerged beneath a raging sea. Haunting the depths of what is now Loch Seld, Scala's silent walls lure adventurers into the salt-laden waters with a promise of mysteries unsolved and treasures unclaimed. So I'm glad that I predicted that. That was pretty cool. So let's look at some of the imagery. So obviously that was the first image. The second image shows this, what appears to be sort of like an Indiana Jones style tomb. There's some gating over here and some railings, and some of them are fallen off, which is obviously the path of the dungeon between bosses. We have mummies in alcoves at the side. Reminded me a little bit of Skyrim, actually. There's mummies everywhere. So I would imagine that we're getting the restless dead to fight against as trash mobs, which will be interesting. The third image actually goes straight to one of the bosses by the looks of it. I'll be surprised if this isn't a boss. It's basically Sparkle Pony, that's the ugliest Sparkle Pony I've ever seen. It's a really nice model. I would love to have this as a mount personally, only it'd have to have a face mask or like a muzzle or whatever you call it for horses, mostly because of these teeth. My goodness. I like the idea of them not just reusing models, but I'm sure we'll see this horse model about 5 or 6 more times after 4.1. So, but it's nice. It's really nice. So the last image of the Drowned City of Scala dungeon shows off some of the gear sets that presumably drop in there. From left to right, we have all of the roles in the game, range DPS, melee DPS, etc. I still think a couple of them look more like chef gear than DPS gear, but I'm sure we can make some decent glamour with these pieces individually. All of these images and stuff will be accessible on the website. I'll give you a direct link to this in the description, obviously for your convenience. So the next and last area of this website shows off the new housing area. This is the Shiragami new residential district. At long last, plots in a picturesque Shiragami will go on sale. Set to the backdrop of the exotic Far East, the area offers a lifestyle experience like no other. Won't you carve yourself a slice of Hingan paradise? Well, probably not because of the prices and the mad rush that's going to happen. They also mentioned the new relocation feature. Love your estate hall but yearn for a change of scenery? Yearn no more. For 4.1 will introduce a relocation function, which allows you to move your individually or free company owned building to a new plot. So if you want to directly move something without basically taking it apart, you'll need to obviously have a plot of equal size or greater to move to. And apart from that, we don't really know much about it, other than it's fully automated and you basically spend a lot of money. Additionally to that, there's going to be a new room added to the housing that you own. This is going to be a new storage section. They actually mentioned this in the Gamescom panel, where they wanted a place where you could put your seasonal items away without having to basically pick them up and put them in the bank. Because as you know, that some of the items that you place down in your house actually get deleted once you pick them up, and some others that you basically don't have any storage for. So it's nice to have a little cupboard to put these in. So that's what the storage feature says. So let's have a quick look at these images then before we end the video. The first image here looks at this huge Shiragami. This is the apartment complex in the center. Very grand looking pagoda type building, a lot like the one in Kagane itself actually. The next image is something that you can actually see right now if you just go into Shiragami housing district. These are the NPC built houses next to the player built house plots, with the vendors across this stone cobbled street. Very nice. sets the tone. I love the lanterns at night. Obviously, it gives that lovely, warm sort of Asian theme. The next image is, I believe this is a large plot, so this is a mansion. I love the placards actually at the end, they're very cool. It's the little details that are going to fascinate you, and this is a wall jumper's dream really, isn't it? The next, I believe, might be a medium plot, or it could be another large plot, I'm not really sure, but there's this blue topped house with the purple banners outside. It's quite a nice backdrop, as you can see to the left of this house, well, our left from looking at the picture. There's waterfalls and bamboo and various different trees that you would find in the Far East. It's going to be quite nice for people who can get to live here. So the last picture is of the cottage-sized small plot. Very cool. Again, this one's quite charming. It's obviously a lot smaller, and I don't like the colour grey, but I'm sure we can change that. However, the thing you have to notice here is that the market board and retainer bell are right next to this guy's house. That's going to be so convenient to live in. It's going to be crazy. Either way, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. That was a look at the patch 4.1 official website, which actually gave more information out than a lot of the press conferences that we've been looking at. So hopefully you enjoyed this. All the info's in the description, and I'll see you next time.